Good evening. My name's Brendan Lumgare, the sleep guru. Welcome to tonight's live stream on sleep. So, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to put in the comments here. Number one, are you suffering from Corona-somnia? Basically, insomnia from the uncertainty of 20 months of being in a long, protracted pandemic. Give me a number one. And even if you're watching the replay, you could type RP and 1. Okay. Give me a 2 if you are got the kids back to school, you're trying to establish a new routine, but you're just struggling to get up in the morning, struggling to get them off to school, and you just haven't found that new sleep routine. Give me a 2. Okay, awesome. Very good. And give me a 3 if it's just been a long time since you remember having a good night's sleep. Like we're talking years, whether it's insomnia, sleep apnea, sleep bruxism, which is grinding the teeth, causing a lot of stress, and basically anything that just causes you to wake up feeling not restored. There's something called non restorative sleep. So, whatever it is, you just wake up feeling drained and your batteries are not recharged. Give me a 3. Okay, awesome. Well, you've come to the right place. So tonight you're going to be learning what is this new thing called Corona-somnia and what can you do about it. I'm also going to be teaching you about why sleep is sacred and going to one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle, to dive into the spiritual nature of sleep. And this is going to lead into my big idea, which is that we need to take a body, emotions, mind, spirit approach to sleep. We can't just do body only. We can't just do the sleep hygiene with the lights and the eye mask and the room temperature and the expensive mattress. And we can't just do a body only approach by sedating ourselves and manipulating the chemicals in our brain. So we need to take a comprehensive, holistic approach: body, emotions, mind, spirit. And you're going to learn how to reset your sleep. As we come into fall, this is the perfect time to shift your sleep schedule. As we exit summer, a very active, exciting time in our lives, moving into fall, moving into more of a relaxed, taking a break after farming. Back in the day, our relatives farmed all spring and summer. We just got the harvest in. Now we're going to have a bit of a harvest celebration, that last hurrah, and then we're just going to chill out and take a bit of a breather here. So that's the natural rhythm. I know life doesn't always work that way in the modern world, but that's what we're moving with. Awesome. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So first up, Corona-somnia. This is there's a lot of buzzwords that have come out of this pandemic, but what this means is that we have temporary insomnia. So the forms of insomnia, there's something called temporary or acute insomnia. And the definition of that is that you have trouble sleeping 3 nights a week or more, but it doesn't go longer than 3 months. So generally, this temporary insomnia is around, where major life changes, whether that's you're moving into a new house, you're selling a house, or trying to sell it, it's still on the market, or you're renting, you're moving into a new place, or maybe your landlord is kicking you out. Big changes around health, getting that doctor's report, or else maybe you're trying to make a positive change in your health, your nutrition and fitness. That can impact our hormones and our cycles. Changes in our relationships, whether it's embarking on a relationship, trying to find that Mr. or Mrs. Right, and or else maybe taking the next step of commitment with that partner, or on the other end of a relationship, the relationship dissolving and perhaps separation or divorce. So that is when temporary insomnia usually happens. Now, during the COVID pandemic, I think that threw a lot of people into temporary insomnia. Even though people had all the time in the world to watch Netflix and scroll and surf and do Zoom meetings and Zoom coffees, their sleep was horrible. And a lot of people just had to watch TV to feel like they lived that day. That's one of the reasons why people were Netflix binging, just to feel like they actually lived a little. So unfortunately, that uncertainty and this unprecedented, remember they used to use that word a lot in the beginning, the unprecedentedness of it, threw a lot of people into temporary insomnia. Unfortunately, as the months and the waves and the first wave and the second wave and the third wave and the fourth wave, and depending on what country or part of the world you're in a fifth wave and a sixth wave. Um, you know, all that stuff is dragged out over 20 plus months. And now people have unfortunately transitioned into what's called long term chronic insomnia. So, this is again sleeping poor 3 or more nights a week. And that is now lasted 3 months or more. That is the technical definition of these sleep disorders. So, this is the problem. This is a huge problem now. 1/3 of Americans were not getting enough sleep before the pandemic. And by enough sleep, the CDC says that's 7 to 9 hours a night. That's basically the time you spend in bed. That's not the actual time that you're like out out and having a good sleep. The quality doesn't even take into account the quality of your sleep. Oh my god. So the coronavirus pandemic, major problem here with the um oh, hang on here. I'm just going to check my stream. Just had a little warning light show up. So I just want to make sure I'm actually streaming here. Okay. Yeah, right on. Sorry about that. So I just want to make sure I'm actually streaming here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, all right. We're back. Just had to confirm that. Just had a little flashing red light go on my screen. Had to make sure I was actually talking to you. So, coronavirus, coronasomnia is the problem nowadays. And maybe it's just stacked on top of existing sleep challenges, just teeth grinding, temporary insomnia coming here and there, sleep apnea, all these things. It's just made everything worse. So that's what I'm here to present to you, that we need to take a new approach to sleep disorders, specifically insomnia and sleep apnea as well. And that's a body, emotions, mind, spirit approach. So, what do I mean by that? Let's talk about my second point. Sleep is sacred. So, in most people's view, sleep is survival. It's just something I have to do. Okay. So, having to do something and choosing to do something are very different, right? Proactively sleeping versus reactively sleeping. So, what I'm here to talk about is taking sleep into your own hands. And I like the word sacred because it implies honoring it, giving it the respect that it's due, and creating a special space for it, a sanctuary, a sleep sanctuary, so that your bedroom isn't just a pile of dirty laundry, and that your mattress is 8 years old and it should have been replaced 3 years ago, kind of thing. We got to respect our sleep space. I'm not telling you to run out and go buy a mattress and gadgets and gizmos and everything else, but we need to respect the space of our sleep. But that's all external. All this stuff about sleep hygiene that all the experts talk about is external. You're trying to control and manipulate your external environment. The problem is, there's a famous quote: all hotel rooms look the same when the lights go out. So guess what? Same with your bedroom. So as much as you like to control the outer, when you close your eyes, all of that, it can be useful and supportive, but honestly, what's happening inside takes over. And it's those inner feelings, sensations, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, heart, heartache, all of it. And of course, our own ego that is seeking to control things comes to the fore. So when we close our eyes, these inner messengers are coming up and they want to be seen and heard. So we got to work with them. We can't resist them, because beating them over the head or pushing them away has not helped. So sleep is sacred. I'm going to be going into this in a lot of detail in my upcoming free sleep challenge. So I'm encouraging you to go ahead and join my free 5-day sleep challenge. Go to sleepresetchallenge.com right now or after the stream, and go ahead and register. So the challenge is happening in a private Facebook group, but you got to go to the sleepresetchallenge.com to register first. Okay, cool. Thanks. So let me get into my second point here: why sleep is sacred. So my sleep journey, my interest in sleep came up. I was teaching yoga and meditation, and back in 2008, this life coach, Greg Larson, who is a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, reached out to me out of the blue, sent me an email, and he said, "Hey, I see you're doing this awesome stuff around Eckhart's book, A New Earth. I had a very popular website, over 20,000 people on my email list. I was sending free meditations, ebooks, all this awesome stuff out, and he got it. And he's like, yeah, I want to have you on my podcast called Living with Tolle." He's not doing it anymore, but this was when podcasts happened over a teleseminar. Remember those? You would dial in, and then if you wanted to answer a question, you'd like push or ask a question, you push *6. Remember those days? So he asked me before we did the podcast, like he knew I was into the Eckhart Tolle stuff, and I'd been on retreats with Eckhart and all this stuff. And he said, "So what's up for you? What's up for the people that you're working with?" And I said, it's actually sleep. Sleep. He's like, "Oh, how so?" And I said, "Well, I was just asking the students in my meditation class, what are you getting out of this thing?" And they said, "Well, after class, I get the best sleep of my life." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" They're like, "Yeah, every like Wednesday night after this class, I go home, I have the best sleep of my life. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." That was kind of an aha moment for me. Then the next morning I was teaching yoga, and I kind of asked the same question to them. "Hey, what are you getting out of these yoga classes since we started this, series in September or whatever?" They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting a good sleep." And that kind of came up amongst other things, but sleep came up again. So I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." So I'm like, these yoga, breathing, meditation tools and techniques seem to be helping with this sleep thing. And so when I was talking to Greg before the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, tell me what's going on." I said, "Sleep." Then we said, "Okay, let's talk about that on your podcast." So I'm going to pull up the part of Eckhart's book, The Power of Now, that I read aloud on the podcast, and this is what shifted. This was the light bulb going on. This was connecting the dots 100% when I read this part of Eckhart's book for the, I was going to say the 20th time, but it was new to me when I read it again. So this is from The Power of Now. So I'm going to read it to you loud, and I got my fancy dancy pen here. So I'm going to, oops, oh, actually advanced a slide there. This is part of another presentation I have. Okay, cool. So here it is: Dreamless Sleep. You take a journey into the unmanifested every night when you enter the phase of deep dreamless sleep. So, this is one of the sleep stages. Eckhart goes on to say, you merge with the source, you draw from it the vital energy that sustains you for a while when you return to the world of separate forms. This energy is much more vital than food. And he goes on to quote Jesus saying, man does not live by bread alone, unquote. But in dreamless sleep, Eckhart tells us, you don't go into it consciously. Although the bodily functions are still operating, quote, you no longer exist in that state. And then he goes on just to elucidate a little bit more. Can you imagine what it would be like to go into dreamless sleep with full consciousness? Hmm. It is it is impossible to imagine it because that state has no content. So let's come back to the key points here. Dreamless sleep. This is actually stage. This is what we call slow wave sleep, where our brain is operating in these slow delta waves. There's no dreaming. There's very little mind activity, if any. It's not the part of sleep where we're processing memories and doing all that stuff. That happens during light sleep and dreaming sleep and all this. This is deep dreamless sleep. This is usually in the first part of the night. This is where our body is being restored. Growth hormone is being released in our brain. The levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, are coming down. Our body tissues are being repaired and our brain is being detoxed. So, a very powerful stage of sleep. So, you can look up slow wave sleep if you want to learn more about that. But the key thing here, where Eckhart connects the dots, is that you, so is capital YOU, which is different than his, quotes you. So up here, you merge with the source, and using the capital letter S for source. So that means, like how we capitalize the word God. It's the source of energy. It is the source. Whatever you call it in your worldview, it is the place where all energy is and comes from. And it's in you and all around us. You merge with it and you are recharging yourself. You are being recharged. You're not doing anything. So, this is part of why this sleep is sacred, right? So, it's a merging, it's a coming home, it's a returning to. And like he says, he goes on that, we don't go into this consciously, perhaps, that we're just, conked out, but we're being recharged. Okay, the next part of it gets we're getting into the deep end of spirituality here, but he goes on to say, although the bodily functions are still operating, the quotes you no longer exist in that state. And what he means by that is the ego, the egoic self, the story of you, the biographical self. I call it the resume self. Like when you're at a party and someone comes up to you and says, "Yeah, how you doing? I'm Bob, and yeah, what do you do?" And then you start listing your resume. That's the resume self. So we can't resist that part of ourself. It's important for functioning in the world, but it also rests during deep dreamless sleep. So this ego that is making it happen and winning the day gets to have a rest at night in deep dreamless sleep. So that is also why it's sacred, because it is a pure form of being, of consciousness, of you. Still using the word you. There's two U's here. You, Y, capital YOU, and then quote you. So you as your spiritual self merge with the source. So it's reconnecting with your self, your higher self. So that is the key to why sleep is sacred, these two things. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going on. I could talk about this for hours, but this is just meant to be a good little stream lesson here. So, anyways, what can you do about it now? How can you get to this deep dreamless sleep? Now, the concern is that as we age, we get less and less of this deep dreamless sleep throughout the night. Usually, when someone's young, it takes up about 20 to 25% of their sleep hours. As we age, that decreases. So instead of sleeping perhaps 2 hours a night in deep sleep, maybe it's only one, maybe it's only half an hour. And this is why, sleep trackers are very powerful. I've got the Aura Ring here. I've got the Apple Watch as well. I've got some other ones. So now we can actually get some insights into what parts of sleep we're getting at night. So it's very exciting to see what's happening. Okay, so with that, how can you reset your sleep? Because yeah, we've gone through summer and we're still going through a pandemic. So what can you do to reset your sleep? So I'd like to invite you to my sleep challenge. It's a free 5-day sleep reset challenge starting this Sunday, September 19th. And you need to please go to sleepresetchallenge.com to register for that. And then once you do that, you'll be guided to the private Facebook group where uh, you can apply or type in your information there to get access. And then we'll approve you on Friday night when the group opens. So the sleep reset challenge, in the sleep reset challenge, you're going to learn a 4-step process to fall asleep. And I call this my stairway to sleep method. So, this is a reliable, systematic approach that you can take to falling asleep. And I've created several guided meditations to walk you down the stairway to sleep. And in the challenge, every night of the challenge, I'm going to be doing a little lesson like we just did right here. So if you like that, that's me. This is who I am. And I'll be doing a lesson there, and an interactive adult learning lesson. And then we'll take a little break. You can get ready for bed. And then I'm actually going to be doing a live guided meditation each night of the 5 days. So I'm going to be walking you down the stairway to sleep every night of the challenge. So it's kind of like I'm holding your hand. We're going to do it together. Okay. So it's like personal training, right? I just got back into working out here again after gaining the COVID-19 pounds, that is. I don't never had the virus, but everyone's getting back into their workout routines and nutrition. And I wanted to ease back into the routine. I didn't want to just hit the gym hard. So I hired a personal trainer, got 5 sessions. She really just helped me work on my form. We did, 5 workouts that were, focused on technique and just holding my hand through the thing. And now I'm back in the regular classes and it feels great. So that's what this sleep reset challenge is like. It's like free personal training from me to take you by the hand. It's like we're doing personal training sessions, we're doing sleep sessions, and I'm going to walk you to sleep each night of the challenge. So you're going to be learning that. You're going to be learning this body, emotions, mind, spirit approach to sleep. And the key here is to switch from daytime doing, the to-do list, the crazy going busyness. We used to be so busy. We're still busy in our heads. Transition to what I call bedtime being mode. So going from daytime doing to bedtime being. And this is a process because it actually takes about 25 minutes just for your nervous system to calm down from the day, being in fight or flight response all day long, scrolling through social media, watching the news. Ah, you know, to transition into what's called rest and digest mode. That's another function of our nervous system, and that is required to get to that deep dreamless sleep state. So even if we do fall asleep and we don't do these things, we could be hovering a lot in the light sleep phase, having some dreams and stuff too, but not really spending enough time down in the deep sleep. So that's what this challenge is meant to educate you about and help you reset your sleep pattern after a busy summer of activity and a long 20 months. Let's take the time to reset our sleep. So, again, all this can be happening in a private Facebook group. So, if your time zone doesn't link up with what I'm doing, that's fine. It's all recorded, it's all in the challenge group and will remain there for the duration of the challenge. So, even if I record a meditation on the first night, the Sunday night, and you love it, you could do it again on the Monday night or the Tuesday night, even though I'll be offering new ones every day. So it's up to you. And I look forward to having you in the challenge. So go ahead and do that right now. Visit sleepresetchallenge.com and I'll see you on the inside of the challenge. Take care. Have a good night.